Is your craft budget shrinking but your love of new decor is not? Well, stay tuned. Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I have for you 5 super cute, amazing, wonderful DIYs that you can make using twigs and twine and just a couple other items. Now, don't forget to stick around until the very end and I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects. So, let's get crafting! I am in love with today's projects, and here is your quick sneak peek. But that will bring us to project number 1. I think this is so adorable. And it is super easy and very budget friendly. So we're going to take some twigs from outside. Now, most of the twigs that I've used today are ones that have a really thin or, no real bark. So it's not crispy bark, if you were. So they might have come from like the peach trees when we trimmed them, or maybe crepe myrtle trees or something like that. And I am going to use some of the little bit thicker branches, and those will be the base for our basket, and then a little bit thinner branches, and those will be the sides and the ends. And so I cut the base and the sides all the same size, and how big you cut them or how small you cut them is going to be determined by whatever basket size you want. And then the end sides, you just want them slightly longer than what your base is going to be. And you'll need 5 bottom pieces, 8 side pieces, and 6 end pieces. So we're going to take 2 of our side pieces and 2 of our end pieces, and we are using wood hot glue. And when I went to get some replacement, I didn't realize how hard it was to find. But I feel like it sticks just a little bit better. And on this particular project, we are going to reinforce everything with twine anyway. So the wood hot glue is more just to keep the project in place while you get the twine settled. So we are going to take 3 of the side pieces and 6 of the side pieces and 6 of the end pieces, and we're going to glue those all together. And as you can see here, you want to be able to stack them on top of each other, and they're all in the same place. So we're kind of getting prepared to set up our sides. Now, the twine piece you're going to take at an angle, as you can see there, and you will knot this side, and then you are going to wrap it. Now, I'm going to, actually, I guess I knotted this part. I just tied it once to hold it in place. And then you're going to wrap it in that direction 3 or 4 times, and then you're going to flip it over and wrap it in the other direction. So we're going to get ready to do that. Oops, I lost some of my glue there, so we'll get that settled back into place. So we've got it wrapped 3 times in the one direction, and there we are. Now we are wrapping it the 3 or 4 times in the other direction. And once you get the other direction done, then you're going to trim that off and tie that with the original piece that you had into a knot, and then trim all your ends. Now make sure all your ends and all your knots are on the underside piece of what you're working on, so that when you get ready to glue it all together, you don't have ends and pieces sticking up. So we'll do the same thing for all 6 of the, I guess it's more than that. So it's 4 per piece, 3 pieces, that's 12, right? Is my math right? So we're going to do that for all 12 ends until we have everything done. And once we have all 12 ends done, then we are going to move on to securing our bottom. So you'll see the 5 bottom pieces are down there, and then I just picked the end piece, or the side and end pieces that fit perfectly with those bottom pieces. So you can see that we are gluing those so that they are flat on the bottom, and they're not wanting to stay really well glued, because of course twigs aren't flat and symmetrical, unless you've bought them and maybe they were pre-made. And that's part of what gives it its character. But again, we're just gluing long enough to keep it in place so that you can set up your twine. And on the twine ends for these bottom pieces, we are going to knot it in one direction and then go in the other direction. So instead of the 3 or 4 times like those end ones were, these bottom ones are just going to be once in each direction, and you'll knot those and also trim that twine in place too. And you're not going to see the knots because those are on the bottom. So once you get all of those end pieces from your bottom done, then we will move on to our sides. And so we're going to take all our side and end pieces and we are going to glue those right one on top of each other until you've gotten all 3 of those that we put together on top. Once you've got those all on top, then you're going to use your last end pieces we had, because if you'll remember, we cut 8 of those, side pieces. We cut 8 of those side pieces, and we're going to glue those together. Now you're going to take something that's either kind of wet-ish or greenish, or maybe is like grapevine. But what I did is I just used a really thin twig that was, not on the dry side yet, because you want it to be able to be malleable. And then in order to kind of bring the twine through the whole thing and also secure a little piece where it snapped, I am going to wrap some twine all around that. And then we are going to hot glue that with that wood hot glue in place everywhere that it touches another piece of wood to hold it. And it actually held really well. Now, if you're wanting some extra security with your handle on each end, you can also add some additional twine. And you'll notice that it sits in that space where the end pieces and the side pieces come out from the base. And then I just grabbed some little pots and some greenery just to kind of show you what you could use it for. But I believe I am going to use mine outside with my little herb plants that I'm going to start here in just a few weeks. Isn't this so stinking cute? And all you've got into it is a little bit of hot glue, some thyme, and some twine. Ginger and I wanted to pop in here real quick and tell you how much we appreciate you. Whether this is your first time here or you're a regular subscriber, we appreciate that you choose to spend time with us. Now, if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Give today's video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Now, let's get back to crafting. And that will bring us to project number 2. I love this one so much. I think it's just adorable. And this is the one I referenced in last week's video. So you're going to need a canvas of some sort, whether you choose the flat ones like I did, or whether you get the ones with the frame, and you could do it inside the frame or outside the frame, or however you want to do this. I chose to put my monogram in the center of my canvas, and so I am measuring, which normally I don't. Normally I'm a fly by the seat of my pants, kind of guess where it's going kind of person, but on this I knew that it would drive me a little bit crazy, honestly, if it wasn't centered properly. So I'm really getting into the measurement, and I'll tell you, it took me a little bit of time to get this monogram just right. So I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I am measuring off all the places so that I can make my bee in the center of my canvas and make sure that it is just as large, or the center of my paper, and make sure it's just as large as I want it to be. And here we are kind of finishing it up, just so you can kind of see my process here. And I am going to cut this out here in just a second. And when I do, I fold it in half, because since it's a symmetrical letter, I wanted the both sides to be the same.
So I am going to just cut it all out, insides and outsides, and of course, you know, my OCD would not let me leave those pencil lines, even though they're not going to make any difference in the end product, because I'm just using this as a stencil. But you know, the things that go on in our minds when we're crafting. And so I am going to set my stencil down onto my canvas, and I'm using some little clamps there to clamp it off. And I wish I could draw this fast as I speeded it up so you wouldn't have to watch it. But next we are going to come in with our twigs. Now you can see I just have a tiny little pile over there to start with, but I am going to start on the long end and making the short pieces. So everything that stretches from right to left, I'm going to do long pieces that kind of match that whole stretch. And everything that's shorter, I'm going to do the short pieces, just as you can see here. Now, don't worry so much about whether your pieces on the long side match up as well as they do on the short side. The short side's much easier, and I'm just, you know, kind of lining it up with what I have and seeing how it fits there, and then just cutting it to the right size, adding a dab of wood hot glue there, and then setting it on there. Now when I get ready to do the longer pieces, I'm actually going to layer those on top of each other a little bit. So I went and grabbed some more twigs from outside. My dad said I was shopping my backyard, and I am going to kind of lay out a few of those just to kind of see how they're going to work there and kind of what size I need. And then I'm going to get started. Now you can see some of these are thicker than others, and it all just adds to the rusticness of this project, and I love it. Now that one I cut just a little bit too short, that I noticed when I put my next piece on, but no worries. I'm just going to take the end off the piece that I just cut and match it up there. And again, just a little bit of rustic piece there. Now on these longer runs, you can see a little bit of the canvas peeking through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to layer another layer of twig on top and kind of fill in that hole. So you can see I just did that, and here I'm going to do another piece. In some places on the longer ends, I ended up with 2 layers, but I tried to do, you know, maybe a thinner layer and a thicker layer so it doesn't look too awkward. And I think you'll also notice that as we're doing this, because twigs are dirty, we're getting a little bit of dirt on our canvas, but no worries. This is a rustic project, and so dirt just adds to the character. So we're going to rub some dirt into our canvas while we do this. And again, I'm just doing the same technique of picking my piece out and trimming it down and adding the hot glue on there until I get it right where I want it. And you know, the hot glue on some of those thinner twigs helps you to mold it into the shape that you need right there. And here we are finishing it all up. I'm telling you, just turn on a movie or something and just happy twig cutting. And then to finish off our project, I grabbed some florals from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to trim off the little stem things on the bottom and throw a gob of hot glue on there and stick those on in a couple different places, gluing them down so that they stay in place, just however you want it to look, whatever goes with your decor. You know, I'm really into making sure there's kind of balance and threes, and so I'm going to do, you know, a couple of little ones to go with my big one, and then maybe a couple of big ones to go with my little one, and just kind of lay it out until I decide that I like how it looks. And you can do that too. Just figure out which florals you want to use, whether you want a color or something to match your decor, and you can personalize this to whatever look you want. Now, I didn't get it on camera, but I also took my handy dandy brown ink pad and kind of rusticked up the edge of that canvas, and here it is. I love this so much. I think it is just so stinking cute. And if you love rustic decor like I do, this will fit right in your home, and it could be used for any season. you could actually change out the florals if you wanted to match whatever the holiday or season is of the time. And that will bring us to my favorite project of this video, project number 3. This is, oh, I just love it so much. These are all the supplies that you're going to need for this container. I am using a recycled plastic container, and I tossed the lid aside, and now I'm cutting the screw part off the top because I want it to be flush. And then you are going to need some burlap. Now I have this burlap ribbon I bought on clearance at Hobby Lobby after Christmas a couple of years ago. You could use that, or they have burlap fabric at the Dollar Tree, or you could use the burlap rolls. I mean, whatever you can find. Now this burlap's a little bit thin, so I am going to use 2 layers of it, and I am going to start. And I put this this bead of hot glue down, but I'm going to remove it here in a minute. But we're going to start at the bottom and kind of wrap this around the bottom so that you have kind of a seamless look. So there, I'll take that glue off. I just wanted it to kind of be set in place for a second so that I knew everything was even and flush. But we're going to go ahead and glue down the bottom, so that it overlaps. And then we'll also make a piece that goes down there, so it'll be a completely finished project. And you just be careful with the hot glue because, seeing as that burlap is kind of thin, you don't want to burn yourself. You could use your silicone fingers, or I will pull out the silicone spatula here in a minute that I bought from Dollar Tree. We're going to go ahead and add that bead of hot glue in to hold that centerpiece down, and then we're going to wrap our second layer around, again going with the bottom. And because of it being so secured at the bottom, and it will be secured at the top, you really don't need to glue the burlap to the actual container anywhere other than that first one so that it stays in place, and the last one so that it stays in place. And once you've got that bottom all done, then you'll go ahead, and I did it 1 layer at a time and rolled the top pieces over. And you won't see those because there will be florals or whatever you're going to stick in your little container. And I wanted it to be either plastic or metal or something like that because I wanted to use mine for flowers, and I wanted to be able to put fresh flowers in there. So I wanted it to do water, or be able to take water in. Now once you've gotten it all the way around, then I did come in with another layer of hot glue, and we are going to secure that seam down. And there's that little red spatula from the Dollar Tree, that silicone spatula. And then I am cutting a piece of burlap, and I grabbed a scrap piece of cardboard, and we're going to make a bottom here with the cardboard and the burlap. So cut out your circle after you've measured the bottom of your container. Now, if you don't have plastic containers like this, you could use metal cans, or maybe the big peanut butter jars or something like that. And what you use is really going to depend on what size of a container you want. I just kind of looked at what I had in my recycled pieces and decided what I wanted it to look like and grabbed that. Now, because this is a circle, make sure that you trim around so that it will lay flat when you glue it onto the bottom of your container. And that finishes the container out to prepare. Now, the whole reason for doing that is because twigs aren't uniform, and you don't want to see the container through the twigs when you get your whole layer of twigs put together. So we're going to start by measuring, and you want your twig to be enough to sit from bottom to top on your container. And once you've gotten your measurement, then you can trim everything to be the same size. And I'm not going to bore you with watching me trim. Of course, I'm using my handy dandy little wire cutter things there that I've gotten from Harbor Freight. You could use your big wire cutters. I have mine out there at the top now. You could use your miter shears, whatever you've got that will cut through those twigs. Now I wrap that twine around 6 times around my container, and then I've gotten 2 of those. And this is what you're going to use to secure your twigs to your container. So leave yourself about 3 or 4 inches on one end, each end actually. And we're going to secure this twig, and we're going to kind of make a little roll out of it, let's say, you know. So you're going to secure that twine to the twig with some hot glue. And again, I'm using the wood hot glue. And it's really just to hold it in place while you get the twine where you want it, so that, you know, your piece fits together nicely. Because even though, you know, twigs and sticks aren't uniform, you also, you know, want to have them as close together as you can. And then, so you'll glue that twine on the top of your twig, and then you'll roll it up underneath and pull it down, and then secure it in place again. Now, it might not necessarily be important to secure it in place a second time, but I wanted to make sure that everything stayed in a uniform size, style, so that all the bottoms were the same, all the tops were the same, so that, you know, when you tie it onto your container, it's all even. There we go. It's all even. I knew the word was coming. So I'll just show you a few of these. So we're going to glue it on top, then we're going to wrap our twine around the twig, and then we'll glue it back down again, so that it stays in place to put our next twig in. And how many twigs you need is going to be totally dependent on the size of container that you have. So here I am kind of just showing you what we're going to do. We're going to be able to wrap that around, so you want to make sure that it's going to look good. See? And then we're going to continue on. And again, this is just a labor of love. You know, so far into it, we have, you know, I don't know, 50 cents maybe of the burlap fabric and the twine. The rest of it is time and twigs. And, oh, a little bit of glue. I guess you got some glue in there. But I just think this turns out so stinking cute, and it's sitting in my kitchen on my counter, and it just makes me happy every time I walk in and see it. Here we go, one more time, and you can see there's a space in between those 2 twigs because they're not even in uniform. But we're going to make it work, and it is going to be beautiful. So don't think your twigs have to be even, and don't think that don't think your twigs have to be uniform. You know, find them as straight as you can, and that's all going to come down to the selection of twigs that you make, and, you know, what you pick when you're cutting them. But it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's going to be perfectly rustic when you're done. And here we are with all of our twigs put together, and I do have a little bit of leftover twine. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that down so that I have, you know, the couple of inches that I need to tie this on. And then we are going to just tie it directly onto our container and give it a good knot there and a good knot down at the bottom. And that way it stays secure and in place, and trim off your ends. And now for decorating. I've had this wood look ribbon. It's a paper ribbon from the Dollar Tree forever, and I didn't know what to do with it, but it seemed to be absolutely perfect for this project. Just the perfect rustic look. And I know I've seen ribbon that looks like this. You could probably find it on Amazon maybe if you don't have any, or you can just use whatever ribbons, you know, go with your decor or the look that you're looking for, or whatever you might happen to have in your craft supplies. And then I grabbed some of this burlap wired ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Now I cut the ribbons a little bit longer than I needed because I wanted to fold over and have a nice clean edge for my end. And then we are actually just gluing down the ends of the ribbon, not the whole ribbon. So you don't need a whole lot of hot glue here. And then I decided to do a layer of 3. So I've got the wood look ribbon and then the burlap ribbon, and those are of course in gradiating sizes. And then we're going to come back in with a white ribbon. Now I have some friends whose daughter is getting married in October, and I think this would just be so sweet as centerpieces on her tables. You know, it's that perfect kind of wedding-y look that goes with that rustic kind of country wedding. And I, I, the whole time I was making it, that's all I could think. Now, don't watch me do this finger bow because I am not very good at it, but I wrapped it around twice and then couldn't figure out what to do with it from there. So I just pulled it off my fingers, and we're going to knot the 2 ends together. And it turns out, I don't know how it actually turned out, and it looks really cute. But I've tried to learn that whole finger bow technique, and I don't know, unless I'm watching a video when I'm doing it, I just can't remember from time to time. So I did it best I could, and now I'm going to trim off some little angled ends, and we're going to glue this on. And I decided to glue it onto the seam just so that you don't see the seam so much there. And I love this. I went to the grocery store and I grabbed a little packet of daisies and a little packet of baby's breath. And as much as I want to be a floral arranger, I am not. So I just kind of played with it and trimmed them down until I liked the rusticy look of it. What do you guys think? And that brings us to project number 4. My daughter said this is her favorite I've made ever. Do you remember last week when I made the lantern with the beads? Well, I had 2 of those little lantern top things with the fairy lights and the light bulb from Dollar Tree. And so I decided a twig lantern was going to be the perfect accompaniment to my second one. So I decided kind of how tall I wanted my lantern to be, and I am cutting my twigs to match that for the top pieces. And then I created these tiny little bottom pieces. Now this is going to be the corners, and they are in gradiating sizes. There's going to be 3 different sizes. And as you can see, we're gluing them together end to end and then on top of each other. And these will be the corner pieces that hold the corner long pieces together. So once we've gotten the corner pieces together and I figure out where I'm going to set that in there, then I put some more hot glue in there and put my long pieces in. I also cut pieces to go on the sides. So you want long pieces that are going to reach from end to end. And then I have some shorter pieces that are going to go on top of that as an extra security and a little bit of decor. So you're going to cut 4 corner pieces, the long ones. You're going to cut 8 pieces of the second size because you're going to need them at the top and the bottom. And then you're going to cut 4 pieces of the smaller size that just goes from the long end to long end. And I'll show you that here in a minute. So on the alternate ends, putting this base together, I ended up making my lantern more rectangular instead of square because honestly, I should have trimmed down the second pieces so that they fit inside the other side. I don't know if this is even making any sense. Inside the other side without having to overlap it and make it a rectangle. I could have made it square. Anyway, so now I'm going to glue on my top pieces, and I did trim out the second top pieces to fit inside those 2 that I've got up there just so that and there's that decorative piece down at the bottom that I'm putting on now. And again, I'm using that wood hot glue. If you want to secure this together with twine, of course you could. I chose not to. It glued together really nicely and it's pretty secure. So this is that top, and I'm going to actually take it apart and tape up the fairy lights, and then spray paint it kind of a bronzy sort of color, because that's how I wanted my lantern to look. They also have those in black, which I thought that would be really cute without having to do anything to it. All right, we have our whole base put together, and now we are going to do some additional security pieces on the sides in kind of a decorative X, and I will do that on all 4 sides. Now, what size you make these little decorative pieces, I made mine based on the skinny twigs that I had available in the house. It was raining, and so I didn't want to go shop my backyard for some more pieces. So you can see some of them are skinnier than others. But I love the way it looks. And there's my little lantern top all spray painted and put back together and still works. And I left the little hanger on there because I felt like that would make a cute hanger for the lantern. Then I am using Gorilla Glue for the permanent hold on that little lantern top, and then hot glue for my for now hold. And I don't know if you guys are seeing some of these cottage core kind of, oh, not gnome, but, oh shoot, what are they called? Kind of Hobbit style decor that's out right now. It's becoming very popular, especially out in the garden. And that's probably why my daughter loves this piece so much. So I grabbed some moss and just finished off the top with that. And I love this. I think it's so sweet, and it is going to look so cute outside in my little garden area. I'm still trying to kind of plan in my head what my garden area is going to look like, but I know it's going to be cute however it turns out. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And that is our light on in there. Isn't that so sweet? And that brings us to our final project, project number 5. This one is a quick and easy one, guys. So I'm going to take another little plastic container that I have and some more twigs. And I am going to cut my twigs down using my miter shears. And my miter shears and miter box got to work out this video, I am telling you. Anyway, I'm going to cut those down and then use some smaller pieces, and those will be the little stand that this little planter sets on. Now, I lost the video where I glued those two, the long piece and the short piece together. So what you want to do is glue the short piece to the long piece, making sure that the bottoms are both flush so that when you stand your planter up, it all stands up evenly. Now I am cutting off the little top piece, and then I am going to use my utility knife to poke some holes in the bottom. My intention is to put a real live plant in here, so I wanted to make sure that it could drain. And then we are going to just put a bead of hot glue down there, and we're going to run a bead of hot glue around the bottom and put our twine on there, and we are going to continue that all the way up the plastic container. Now this is another one, just use whatever recycled materials you have available to you, and if you don't need it to be used for an actual plant, then it really won't matter if it has holes in the bottom or not. You could definitely use those like I did for staging with just some fake florals, and use it as a cute piece of your decor. Okay, so I've lost a bunch of footage here, and I'm going to try to walk you through it. So I ran some ribbon across the top and the bottom. This is just this little burlap ribbon that I bought at the Dollar Tree. And I took that long piece and the short piece, and I put those together, glued them, and then I wrapped twine around it to secure it and also kind of give it a cute little look. And then I glued those longer pieces against the plastic container to secure them, and then we're going to add a little bit of twine around that'll help keep them in place, and also a little extra detail of decor. And I think this turned out so adorable. What do you guys think? I love it, and it was super simple and fast and easy to make. And here it is with my fake florals, because I didn't have time to actually get a real plant. I might maybe grow something in here. Maybe I should put my still in here. Thoughts. Anyway, here it is, all done, and I love it so much. And then we are at our final look of all of today's projects. I can't believe our video went so quickly today. It feels like we just got started. I love this one so much. I just can't get over that. And that basket turned out adorable. I mean, all total on all of these projects, I think I spent less than $5, y'all. And actually, most everything I already had on hand, so I didn't really buy anything. Now, if you guys recreate any of these or any of my other projects, please shoot me pictures at HappyTuesdayDIY@gmail.com. I would love to see and share your creations. Please let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite or which one or ones you're going to try to recreate. I had so much fun working on these, and I hope you guys enjoyed them as much as I did.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since you stuck around until the very end, here's your hint on one of next week's projects. You will need some scrap yarn, whatever color or colors go with your decor. You are going to need some cardboard, any scrap pieces you have laying around, and some wooden skewers, or if you still have some twigs left over, you could use those too. But until then, make it a great day and Happy Tuesday!